welcome to 500 Open Tabs. I'm Kaveh Taherian.
And I'm Hannah Hillam. Hey, Kaveh, what's up?
Back. Hey, welcome back from the scurvy seas of your pirate work.
In reference to something we said immediately before we started recording. So, really good podcasting right there. Well, I had nothing new in my life besides I will tell you something.
What's that?
I hit a new parenting milestone today.
Okay, what's that?
And that is I couldn't find a brush, and so I brushed and did my hair with a Barbie brush.
Oh,
yeah,
extra fancy.
The only brush I could find. It didn't work.
You know what? You look good enough to me for this podcast.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Yep. I just brushed this part because I was like, it's all that people are gonna see.
You know what? And
so
the effort really shows.
Thank you. I got ready for this. Barbie brush and all. And what you can't see is I'm also wearing Barbie shoes. Just one on each toe.
I see. Disgusting. It's the worst visual I've ever seen.
Yeah, I apologize. That's gross. Ew. Oh.
Just walking around with them. Yeah, exactly.
All high heels? Or are they like, some of them are like the Skipper flat foot ones?
That's the sound of you walking.
It'd be like a spider wearing high heels.
Yeah. Ew,
well,
gross.
On that
note,
what's new with
thanks
you?
For coming back. Yeah, nothing really. I think we're just getting ready we're going to be in Seattle in a week, which is really exciting. We have not been back since last year, obviously, but I'm excited for Emerald City. You got some cool new stuff that you've definitely gotten ready in time.
I've, fully finished everything. Not paying extra to ship things last minute. It's just good, Yeah. No, I've been almost obsessively creating new art in a way that's scary, but I'm not going to think about it.
That's good.
So that's good. Yeah.
I'm glad one of us is, at least.
Look, you got Chicago. You can go insane before Chicago. By the way, everyone, we're going to be in Chicago as well.
That's right. Oh, I guess we didn't announce that, but we wait until after one convention so people could be like, am I supposed to fly to Seattle or Chicago to see them? I don't know. Oops, I got confused and put in Chicago.
Anywhere. They'll come if they're in the area.
Yes.
That's what.
But yes, Seattle, Emerald City. Don't forget, we have a panel. It's our Escaping the Algorithm panel that we're taking on the road. It's going to be Friday night, 6:45.
One confirmed panelist so far, Mike Bennett. He's the Portland artist that does like street art for kids. It's cute. It's fun.
We have two more who are more or less confirmed, but not 100%. So we're just going to wait until it's official. But yes, we're going to have a few guests. It's going to be a good time. Come see us at Artist Alley. Come to the panel. Come J7. Come see us and all that stuff. But otherwise, nothing else. Mostly just getting ready for that stuff.
Cool.
But this week, even though I went first last week, it appears that you want me to go first again. Probably because you thought I did such an excellent job.
Well, yeah. And we pressed stop last week, and I was like, he should go first every week.
Every week.
I turned to Sean, who was in the room for
some reason. Who was in the room the entire time watching you while you recorded your episode.
I told him that from now on, man, he's going first.
But okay. So my tab this week, as always, let's discuss where it started, where it came from.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
So, as you know, I recently recorded an episode of Kurush's podcast, Save Point Stories, which I know you are also going to be on because all you do is record podcasts with other Persian hosts.
Literally nobody else. Hey.
That's it. That's all you have to say about it.
Something?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. You just said, hey.
I know ended it. I know, but.
You know ended it.
I know, but. It's a
no
yes
ended
and
it.
No ended it. Yeah, no, I solely go on Persian shows only.
You're plugged into the network, which is good. Of course, Kurush was on a couple of episodes, more than a couple episodes ago, but
like
he was on
20
talking
episodes
about
ago.
magic cards, or not magic cards, but like the weird magic custom game thing that he was making. The episode where I famously like disassociated for a good 30 minutes.
Dude, I watched on your face. I watched you leave this realm. You and you kept. I saw like your soul trying to keep a hold on reality, like grasp. It was tough. Just barely, but you did a great job.
Just barely. Thank you. But the point of it,
his podcast.
I was on his podcast, which is Save Point Stories, and the point of it was to talk about a game that shaped your life in some way or had an influence on you. So, of course, I chose the original NES port of Contra. Did you ever play Contra?
I did not.
Oh, okay. I should have assumed that you had not played Contra. You're not really like a shooting game person, are you?
Not until I was an adult, and then I got too into it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Not Contra, but Destiny, and then it gave me carpal tunnel in both hands, and so I quit the shooting games. Yeah.
So I have lots and lots to say about that game, but obviously you'll have to listen to that episode, which should be out, I don't know, I think sometime next month, in the next few weeks. I'll keep you updated. I'll let the audience know so they can go.
Well, what's like the short, like, what's the game? Like, what's the concept?
What's the game of Contra?
Yeah, what is it?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the purposes of this tab. All that matters is that I was in a game space and I was like reading some stuff about Contra and remembering stuff from back in the day. And and I played Contra. And of course, the first thing that comes to mind when you play Contra is that was the first game that, it wasn't the first game to use it, but it was the game that popularized the Konami code.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that's the first one that people associate with it. I don't know if you know. Do you know the Konami code though, right?
Yeah. Up, down, down, beat. That one?
Yeah. So it's seared into everybody's memories. And I had never thought to like look into the deeper origin story of the code and like how all that crap worked.
Yeah.
So I found
you mean cheat codes?
Cheat codes, exactly. So today's article is from Popular Mechanics by David Silverberg, which is where it started, where I went off my deep dive, and I will use as a guideline to discuss a brief history of video game cheat codes.
Oh my gosh, this is exciting. This is really cool. Okay, really quick before you start. This should say a lot about me. I would feel guilty when I used cheat codes.
Will I get into heaven if I use the Konami code?
Am I bad? Well, it was more like I'm not truly beating this. You know what I mean? I would like feel like a shame, like a I don't know, like kicking someone while they're down. Shame, where it's like I should have just done my best.
Poor sentient video game who's
I should have just
judging
done my
you
best.
as you're hurting
Why
it.
did I do my best? And then as I got older and had less time, I was like, I don't have time to do my best. I'm cheating. Anyway. Continue.
So, in the early years of gaming, developers created cheat codes as a way to streamline the process of beta testing games. So,
that makes sense.
if you're trying to figure out if you're trying to figure out a bug that happens when you get to a certain part of a level that like kills you every time you get to it, it would be super annoying to have to start the game like all over when you're trying to fix it. So, they'd be like, okay, whatever, let's just punch in some whatever hackery jargon code thing, and now I have infinite lives on the back burner as I try and figure out what's wrong in this specific spot.
That makes sense.
Or it could be something as simple as the boss coming up to you and saying like, "Hey, Billy Bob."
There he is. He's in a game now. He's entered a video game.
No, he's the coder, right? He's the developer.
Wow, he's finally got a stable Silicon Valley job.
Exactly.
After being a cheesemonger in New Jersey and then also an immortal assassin. Was that what he was? I don't remember.
All kinds of things. Yeah. So the boss goes up to you. I want someone to string out the lore of Billy Bob into like one giant timeline.
He's old. Yeah. He was like at Peter Stump's execution, I'm pretty sure. Anyway.
So the boss comes up to Billy Bob and he's like, "Hey, Billy Bob, listen, Shigeru is on one of his like stupid smoking walks again, and he can't be disturbed. So you're on debugging duty for level 6. So Billy Bob sighs and he thinks about unaliving himself, but decides it's too much work. So he'll just write a little line of code that lets him skip ahead to level 6, and then he gets to work.
I like how those were the options. I'm either gonna die by my own hand, or I'll write a few lines of code.
This is our struggle every day.
That might be how programmers just live every day anyway. Like, is today the day?
Yeah, just which one makes more sense?
Code or die?
Exactly.
Ask my husband. He does that.
See what he does. So depending on what
he's a hobby hostage in the room.
He's crouched in the corner.
He's crying. He's weeping. Yeah. He's
in the cage. He won't get out until he's done programming.
Finish programming. Whatever it is you're doing, okay? Money machine. Making money for the podcast machine.
For Contra.
Make Billy Bob, a cheesemonger. Anyway. He throws wheels of cheese at people. Anyway.
So,
Skyrim.
Depending on what the programmer needed, a cheat code would allow them to experiment and play with the AI without interruptions or restarts. And I would argue that for them, it wasn't necessarily like a cheat code per se, because their goal was not to beat the game, but to finish making it.
It's a shortcut. It's more like a...
Yeah, it's like a shortcut for doing work rather than a cheat. So, I don't know. But like tomato, potato, as they say, it's all kind of the same.
Tomatoes and potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm going to start saying that. Tomato, potato.
Tomato, potato. Now,
tomato, potato,
potato, potato, tomato. So in programming, this was referred to as peek and poke statements, which I will try and explain to you poorly, but I think essentially what it means was that in all the code, there are lines that are variable and invariable. So there's like the hard architecture of the game, that doesn't change. It's what makes the game Mario as opposed to what makes the game like Contra. So it's like level design, aesthetics, that kind of crap. But
those
then
are variable.
Those are invariable. So those are the things that don't change.
Okay, I see. Like the actual skeleton of it is invariable.
Exactly, yeah. Right. But then there are the variables, which is stuff like score, lives, power level, time, health, all that kind of crap. That's all the variable stuff. So these parts of the code are meant to be constantly rewritten as you're playing the game. So it's meant to just be like change. So what the programmers do is you type in the peek to find out where that info was, and then you would poke it to change it.
Huh. Okay.
So you could go to whatever where it says like
the old peek and poke.
The old peek and poke. This is way before Facebook.
Sounds illegal.
It does sound peek and poke illegal.
Peek and poke.
So this was something that, like I said, you could just go in like where the variables would change for lives. You could just go be like, okay, well, let's peek in here and then poke it to change it to 30 instead of 3, which was the case in Contra.
I see.
And of course, the developers could do this, but then early hobbyists could figure out how to do it too, because the systems were more open on actual computers. But once Nintendo rolled around with their fancy pants cartridges, everything got a little bit more complicated because it wasn't just a floppy disk that you put into a computer.
Right.
And if you're listening to this and you've never heard of a floppy disk, send us a message so we can find a time and place to meet so that you can just end me because I'm too old.
Put me in the ground.
Put me in the wood chipper.
What did you say the other day? Oh, no.
Put me in the wood chipper and hit puree is what I said.
That's right. Puree me in the wood chipper.
Puree me in the wood chipper if you don't know what a floppy disk is.
Flush me down the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet. All right. I'll fit. It's magic.
That's true, especially if I've been pureed.
Yeah. Wait, I'll puree you in the wood chipper and then I will dump and flush you like a dead fish.
Let's set this up so that the wood chipper goes directly into the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet.
Less
so you just
work
puree
for me.
Directly. Yeah, perfect.
Because I've decided I'm the one to do this. I'm just kidding, Sean. I'm not going to kill anybody. He's always afraid of me.
Yeah, I'd understand. So back in the 80s, there was a game called Gradius, I believe is what it's called, which was being ported to Nintendo. I never played it, but the game's developer, his name was Kazuhisa Hashimoto, was in the debugging phase. And when he was doing it, he was like, dude, what the shit? This game is insanely hard, and I'm the developer. I can't even play this. Whack. So he creates a code for himself that was easy to remember, which was up, down, left, right, left, right, BA start.
Okay. I was the one going off the Nintendo one. I think that was up, down, A, B. Oh, no.
No, it's up, down, left, right, BA start.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. And thus he gives birth to what would go on to be known as the Konami code. Konami, which is the publisher of that first game.
Right.
So some games at that time had let codes either get published into the final games because they just forgot to take it out.
Classic. Yeah. That would be me.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like a fun little secret that you could just tell a couple people, then another person would tell another person, and eventually people started to catch on to them. Then people really became obsessed with it, understandably so, very quickly because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So Gradius comes out, and the game itself, it doesn't do that well, but the code became well known enough that Konami decided to run with it and made it a signature for their games. Most famously, Contra, that gave you 30 lives.
Oh, as opposed to what? Oh, 3?
3. So
from 3 to 30 lives. That's absurd.
10 times the amount of lives. Here, I'm going to send you. So you probably don't. Again, so you said you never played it, or you just didn't play it that much.
I recognize this game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I've messed around with it at an arcade. And if
it was also an arcade game that ported
have never been to an
yeah.
arcade, like I said, come and find me and put me in the ground. But yeah, at an arcade, I would watch people play. 1988? That is as old as me.
Yep. So the way that the load screen worked is when you would turn on, it would come from right going to the left. That image would until it would stop. So it would go dun 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 dun. So before it reached its final stage, like a final state in the center of the screen, that's when you would have to put in the code.
Oh.
So you have to be all fast, and then you would hit whatever, 1 player, 2 player, and then it would go to the next screen and it would tell you if you got 30 lives. So if you didn't do it fast enough, you just keep hitting reset and putting in the code until you could get it.
Okay.
So anyway, that's the first one that really makes the Konami code popular. And from there, it takes off and it's used in a bunch of games, but not always to the same effect. For example, in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project, you get, I guess, a stage select option, and not 30 lives.
The Manhattan Project?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Just a world-changing event.
Yeah. Just in a Ninja Turtle game. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
It's in a bunch of games. They still put it as Easter eggs now, even whatever, 35 years later. Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie. Did you ever play Banjo-Kazooie?
I did play Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, not like consistently. I had played it, but it wasn't like a game that I owned and played ever.
That was like our game at home. I mean, besides like the regular Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, we had an N64 because I'm not as old as you. I didn't fight in the wars.
Yeah, I know. You're not
or
ancient.
whatever, however old you are. I'm just kidding. You're only 5 years older than me. It's not that big of a deal. But we had Banjo-Kazooie. My brother was obsessed with it. And there was this one part, I remember using it. We couldn't get past this level. We had to use it every single time.
Yeah.
Good times.
And then the guild came in and you're like, I should just try harder.
I don't know if it would be. It's more like, yeah, it's guild.
Listen, you're going to hell. When you get to the gates of heaven, they're going to look at your list of stuff that you did do or didn't do.
Look, where I come from, we don't believe in hell. We just believe in a less good heaven, all right?
Less good heaven.
I'm going to the worst heaven there is, which is still pretty dope.
Anyway, so, of course, it becomes a huge thing. Now, of course, because people are obsessed with it, this becomes an opportunity to capitalize and make money off of. So, our old friends at Nintendo Power decided to include a new section called Classified Information, where they released codes and cheats on quote-unquote top secret manila envelope backgrounds.
I remember that.
And do you remember the image? I actually looked up the image and I was like, oh man, I remember this.
Oh yeah.
I had all kinds of dopamine come back into my brain. Remember looking at this stuff.
That's exactly what just happened. It's like flooded in.
Yeah.
Back when my brain made it on its own.
Yeah.
Whoa. I remember this.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
That's where you would get a lot of the cheat codes and stuff and the secrets. Which, again, if you guys remember, if you have not been listening to the show for a while, I did an episode last season about the Nintendo Power Hotline. So I glossed over some of the Nintendo stuff, but this is sort of an extension of that. So Nintendo Power Editor-in-Chief Gail Tilden said, quote, certain editors were responsible for contacting licensees and digging out information such as codes. Every game had to come to Nintendo to be reviewed and bug tested, whether it was a licensee's game or Nintendo's game. And one of the agreements was that Nintendo Power would have first access from the time the game through the door. If there were going to be codes and secret unlocks, the developers had to provide that when the game was submitted for approval.
Okay, so there couldn't be anything, you couldn't slip anything extremely secret in there.
Well, not only that, but Nintendo basically had a market on it, just being like, if you're going to...
I see.
Remember, the seal of approval for Nintendo was a big deal because of what happened in the early 80s, where like everybody was a developer was making games and they were all dog shit, which is what led to the entire collapse of the industry.
They've always based them, like they've always had a very high standard in
right.
what they
so the seal of approval was the thing where they're like, we won't give you this until you give us this information. So I think I said this on that one episode that we did about Nintendo Power Hotline, where like it sort of functions like Apple in a way, where it's like, in order to get into the App Store, there's like a certain level of standards or whatever that they have, and if you don't reach those standards or meet those standards, they won't allow you to work, or they won't allow you to sell your app there. Which I know people have different feelings about it. Some people think it's like fascist and controlling. Others are like, well, it allows for a consistent product. Whatever.
I think
that's what sort of what Nintendo
it's
does.
Fascist and controlling have never been oppressed by anything in their life.
I would agree with that. But anyway, so Nintendo basically says, like, you got to let us know about all this stuff. Some of it, too, is just because the branding of Nintendo is that, like, they don't want, like, a secret code that allows you to just shoot a bunch of, like, dicks with semen in the middle of a game.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they're like, great.
Princess Peach upskirt, which we did. We tried so hard to see. You just could never get a good look.
So they basically...
you pause Smash Brothers at the right time and be like, there she is. There it is. Never could. Anyway.
And then PrincessPeachUpskirts.com became the biggest website of
How'd
1998.
You know I'm on that site?
Yeah.
Oh, it's still up.
I was on GeoCities too. I remember you had that fan page.
Oh, for Lord of the Rings. But yeah, this one was for Princess Peach, Lord of the Rings.
Princess Peach and Princess Peach Upskirts in all of her 8-bit glory. Anyway, so the point is that they basically were like, you need to give us all of this for, quality reasons, but then they just took that and they're like, we're going to put it in the magazine. And so that becomes part of how people learn So they've controlled basically like Nintendo Power becomes the only option for you learning about cheat codes.
So you subscribe.
Of course you subscribe.
Genius.
Yeah. Quick side quest.
Oh.
Gail Tilden, who was the founding editor-in-chief of Nintendo Power, she was barely a 30-year-old woman at the time.
What?
Yeah.
I think I was freaking out when I was 30 because I was like, all I do is play video games. No, that was more like 27.
But here's a picture of Gail Tilden
working
away.
Oh, I love her. Look at her. So
She's wearing like a giant blue t-shirt, cutting stuff up.
Oh, I want to find out more about her.
So pretty wild because the most coveted publication in a highly boy-dominated industry was put together by a 30-year-old woman, which I thought was really funny. But don't get ahead of yourself talking about how great she is, because she herself would later reflect on her tenure and be like, oh yeah, I didn't necessarily do the best job at communicating what I wanted in a way that was understanding of people's feelings.
Okay.
So
Bad
while
boss.
The articles for Nintendo Power were all written stateside, for some reason, the artwork had to be made in Japan by Japanese artists.
Oh, okay.
So she would have to fly out once a month to Japan and approve them.
Oh, yeah, because there was no internet.
There was no internet.
I was like, why can't they just email her? It's like, I'm talking about the 80s.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
She would have to fly out once a month and just look at their artwork and be really just blunt about it, because she was like, I don't have time for this shit. I'm in America. I have to put on a stupid magazine. Why did you put the Batman cover, or why did you put the Batman artwork as hot pink? It should be black. Stupid. Change it to black. And then would like fly back. And
like, oh, Gail. Yeah. Gail is scary.
Yeah. Which was very culturally insensitive. And the art pit referred to her as the dragon lady, quote unquote.
Yeah. Imagine just some like angry white lady just being like, all of this is bad.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just not how you like conduct yourself.
Which I understand. On the other side of it, you're like, imagine being like a lady trying to put together this magazine in like a boy-dominated industry, and you're just like, I have to be a dick, otherwise no one will listen to me.
Yeah, you got to be mean, or else people won't. Well,
but just the right amount of mean, but not too mean. Because if you're too mean, then you're a bitch. But you have to be nice. But you have to be mean. But you have to be nice and blah blah. I understand.
Literally every single thing will fail. You'll fail no matter what.
Yes. So I don't necessarily blame her for being that way, but
no.
I thought it was interesting that she said herself, she was like, because again, it sounded like she was saying I was being culturally insensitive specifically. Is what
well, that's what it sounds like, because you like.
Yeah.
There's just a gigantic like the business culture and like the office culture is so different. It's way more casual here, even back then.
Yeah.
And even now,
especially
like,
even
Japan,
more back then.
It's very hierarchical there. You can't just walk in and tell everyone they suck.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just rude. Anyway.
So codes are fun. Kids love talking to each other in person and sharing their Nintendo's power. But out of nowhere, this thing called the Game Genie hits the market, which I personally never owned because I thought it was dumb. I thought the Game Genie was stupid.
I'm trying to remember if we had. I don't think we ever owned a Game Genie. It was a magazine, right?
No, Game Genie. No. Here, I'm gonna send you a picture
never mind. See, I don't know what it is. Let's see. What is
Game Genie was that like weird abomination that you would. So basically, it functioned like another cartridge, and then you stuck the game cartridge into that cartridge.
Yeah. See, I'm not into this.
Yeah.
This feels like you're taking all the fun out of cheating.
It's hideous. That's exactly what I have. So it's like, it's fun to have a cheat code here or there, especially because there's this level of like, especially at that time, I thought it was like, it's really fun because you're like, oh, I know this person, or like this guy had this information, or like this person's older brother or whatever. But Game Genie sort of takes all the fun out of it, and it just works like, it's basically like an interceptor between the cartridge and the system. And I think it makes a mockery of the games. It's not fun. You didn't earn it. You didn't discover it. You didn't share it with anyone you knew. That's the other thing with codes. It was democratized.
Played.
Yeah, it's like with the code, everybody could use it, right? But you had to pay. It was like paywalling the code. Yeah. Sorry, the cheat, which I didn't really like. But whatever. Everyone come at me.
I know people.
Rich kids, I don't care.
That's the thing. I was gonna say, there was a kid in my neighborhood that 100. I know I could like name kids who I knew would have loved this back in the day, and I just know it.
Yeah.
And it was the rich kid next door.
Yeah. Eventually, Nintendo got annoyed too, and they tried to sue Galoob, who was the manufacturer. Nintendo.
Galoob.
Galoob. Galoob. I remember Galoob.
I did
again, ancient, but
yeah.
Nintendo argued that Galoob's device modified their games, creating quote unquote derivative works, and thus infringed the copyright of game makers. If the Game Genie were indeed creating derivative works every time it ran, then those works would either be illegal or at the very least require some sort of licensing structure by which Galoob would compensate the game maker for them.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
So what's funny is that the marketing of the Game Genie calls it, so look at the picture I just sent you, right?
Yeah.
What does it say up in the top right?
It says video game enhancer.
Enhancer,
Game
right?
Genie. Yeah.
So this ended up being a stroke of luck. It's literally on the device itself. And as such, they were able to beat the case, claiming that no independent work is created by the Game Genie. And the Ninth Circuit Court made a distinction between products that enhance, quote unquote, copyrighted works and products that replace copyrighted works. And in this case, the Game Genie enhances the Nintendo game, but it does not replace the game because the Game Genie by itself cannot produce an audiovisual display.
This just still feels gross. Ugh.
It's weird.
I don't know.
They're like, we give you the boner pills that will give you a boner, but we don't give you a new wiener.
I was about to make that joke.
Male enhancement.
Male video game enhancement or something.
Yes.
I don't know. Look, if it doesn't show me under Peach's skirt, I'm not buying the Game Genie. All right. As a confused 13-year-old, that's all I wanted.
Yeah. Anyway, so speaking of getting official courts and whatnot involved, the most important code of the 90s came along shortly after.
Okay.
Which was the infamous blood code for the original Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I don't know this.
You don't know about this?
No.
Oh.
The closest I've ever come to Mortal Kombat is playing the theme song for Marching Band.
It is taking all of my power to not walk away from this podcast right now.
Please, look, I need to give some backup. I need to no, come back. I need to explain myself. Come back. It was for a grade, okay? I was the only saxophonist who could play that one part. All right? Look, my band teacher was like, no one would ever do marching band unless I actually made it fun. And so he did a video game theme, and we were all like, fine. Please be my friend still.
Just be lucky that I can't push my hand through the camera and just dunk you into a toilet, even though that's not something I've ever done. But I feel a strong desire to do it.
Into the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet.
Yeah, into the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet. As me, cool jock, talking about video game cheat codes.
Yeah, what did you do in high? I mean, I guess you did play sports in high school, but
not well.
I was swim team in high school. I had some.
Yeah, I was a swimmer too.
Coolness. Yeah. Did you not know I did marching band?
I did know. Yes, you have mentioned it. I just can't believe that. Like, wait, was it didn't? That was the.
Yeah,
thing. That's really funny.
And I was the loudest saxophone player in the school, and so I could do those alone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Please move on. Walk away.
Okay, so the blood code allowed players of the Sega Genesis version to do awesome fatalities and like rip players' heads off with the spine still attached. Which is what the whole draw of the original Mortal Kombat game was.
Whoa!
While
so
that was the Sub-Zero fatality. Well, the Super Nintendo cucks like me were left to delude ourselves into thinking the sterilized sweat version was worth our time because sadly the SNES had no blood code.
No. Why would it?
Suffice it to say, Mortal Kombat quickly became the greatest thing since sliced head. I was very proud of that one.
I can't wait till I get to talk about a beheading later in my tab.
Best things in sliced head.
Yeah.
So, just for context, part of what made it so crazy was that this was the first fighting game that was like mimicking and meant to look realistic. Like they took, it was like GIFs of people who were fighting essentially. So like they photographed actual actors, and then it was like whatever, like four values that were sort of animated and moving around. It was like a really, actually it looks like the early version of the internet's GIFs.
Yeah, I remember watching people play it. I can picture the movements.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a very distinct way that they move that other video games did not have. Anyway.
Which admittedly, like it was, in all the games up until then, there were plenty of violent games, but I think the fact that they were meant to be realistic and it was so over the top where you're literally ripping people's heads off. And there's just blood spraying everywhere.
Just gratuitous.
It was gratuitous. I mean, I thought it was fantastic, but personally, that's how I felt about it. But doesn't matter. Children everywhere were thrilled and they were happy. But If there's one person who doesn't like to see kids happy, it was the coward Joe Lieberman. Remember that guy?
Oh, vaguely. Wait, remind me.
I'll get into it. So for those of you who don't know,
hate this
America used to be the paragon of nonviolence. It was the pinnacle.
Yeah, founded on that, famously.
Beating the Nazis and Japanese Imperial Army with our words. Mm-hmm. Giving the Vietnamese nothing more than high fives when we were over there. And televising
nice work,
the entirety
boys.
of the Gulf War on cable television. America, it was called the United States of Pacifist America.
Never show a boob.
Never show a boob or violence. And everything was calm and normal and relaxed and understated until Mortal Kombat came along.
I remember who Joe Lieberman is now.
Yep. Suddenly, Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo Lieberman was worried about the kids.
Turning off the Gulf War to start playing Mortal Kombat.
Yep. So in December 1993, members of the combined United States Senate Committees on Governmental Affairs and the Judiciary held congressional hearings to get to the bottom of this violence in video games business. Led by Senator Lieberman, who would go on to give his full-throated support for the illegal occupation of Iraq, which led to the deaths of thousands of innocent kids, and voted against Medicare in this country. He felt he was the right person to lead an investigation on the impact of Goro on our shining city on a hill. Which you don't remember Goro. He's the four-armed guy with the ponytail.
I don't, but I do know that shining city on the hill was built by slave labor. So, you know.
Yeah. But thankfully, despite Joe's best efforts, we used to have something in this country called the First Amendment. So
what? No.
Everyone rallied around the idea of a content rating system, eventually leading to the formation of the ESRB.
Yep. Okay.
So did I give you? Actually, I should send you a little shot of this too. So this is Sub-Zero holding the head of Sonya with her spine hanging.
No way.
Joe Lieberman saw this and thought that's not awesome, and I'm like, pfft. By the way, this is the screen in Mortal Kombat where you would punch in the code. So you should read it. It's like very tongue in cheek.
The word code has many different definitions. The Shaolin martial arts tournament is governed by a system of rules of conduct, an ethical code. The combatants respect each other as warriors, no matter what degree of hatred they have for one another. A code of honor. Another type of code could be defined as an arbitrary system of symbols or letters for transmitting messages. A secret code. Mortal Kombat adheres to many codes, but does it contain one?
Yeah.
That is really fun. That's cheeky, like you said.
It reminds me of Homer talking to, I think he's talking to Apu or somebody who's like, I saw this movie that was about a bus that was speeding around town. And if it dropped its speed below 50 miles an hour, the speed would suddenly make it blow up. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down. That's literally what this is, where it's like a code is a code.
That's really funny.
Anyway, so cheat codes reached their pinnacle with N64's GoldenEye, which, to be honest, I never really got into that much because it was after my parents' divorce and we were all sad and kind of poor. So apologies, I can't speak much to it. We didn't buy an N64.
I played that one.
Yeah,
but my parents were weird about it. They were like, "Why not just play, Mario?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I want to shoot people." But the kid next door played it, and that's why I'd go over there and watch it. He would never let me play it. It's like, okay, fine. But that game is solid. I love that game.
I really love that game. I definitely played it like at people's houses.
Yeah.
I didn't own it, and I didn't have an N64, so I can't really speak to like having gotten deep into it. So the game's designer, Martin Hollis, told Popular Mechanics, quote, "We designed a cheat system where, first of all, you had to earn the cheats. And second of all, once you were using a cheat, you could not use it to win progress or unlock further cheats. It was as if the cheats were outside the game world, just like ordinary cheats in most games. But at the same time, they were folded into the game world a little at the edges." Yeah. So they really like took the idea and just like really built the game around the idea of that, which is part of why I think people really loved it and were so excited about it. Aside from the multiplayer aspect and being able, it was the first like, they were doing it on the computer.
That was a dope game. Yeah.
Yeah. So this ends up becoming something similar to Nintendo Power. As I was writing this, I was like, oh, this is the same thing that happened with Nintendo Power. So, which is eventually by the new millennium, cheat codes started to fall out of fashion for a litany of reasons. With the explosion of home internet, you could suddenly find like every cheat code imaginable for practically every game on every console, which put Nintendo Power and other game magazines out of business.
Right.
And crucially, the rise of DLCs marked a significant shift in the industry that paved way for microtransactions. Because games could be updated at any time, game studios saw the potential to sell additional features for well-performing titles, offering more crap to anyone who was willing to purchase it. And instead of discovering new things, instead of discovering new things and sharing fun secrets, you could just now buy them and be left feeling unfulfilled.
It's such a bummer.
It's sad, really, but I'm not going to end on a sad note. I'm going to end on a positive note.
Okay.
Which is just a year ago, on March 27th, 2024, Joe Lieberman finally died.
Oh, he's dead?
He's dead, but sadly, not from having his head ripped off his body with the spine still attached.
Oh, and the spine ripped out. I was picturing that. You know what? Don't tell me how he died. I'm going to picture it how I want to picture it.
For the purposes of this podcast, that's Sub-Zero came and decapitated.
Decapitated him, and then I don't know. I keep picturing him whipping someone with the spine of.
With the spine.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, that's my
edit this
that's my
picture
tab.
To have Joe Lieberman's.
I was just thinking about that as I was saying. I feel like the FBI would come to our house if we did that. Although he's already dead.
For sure. He's fully dead. But
yeah,
hey,
I don't know. That's a good question.
Write in
if you're an FBI agent spying on us currently,
can we put a government official's head on the decapitated head of a video game character?
Deceased government official.
Dead. Yeah. Lincoln. I will just put Lincoln's on there. Why
immediately
not?
Our show's getting flagged right now. We're just going to get taken off the air forever.
Edit all of this.
Anyway, so cheat codes still exist and they still have them in other games.
Do they?
It's not. Yeah.
Because now that I think about it, I just don't remember the last time I used a cheat code. Probably on The Sims, actually.
The other thing too, I never played The Sims. I was going to say though, real quick, the other reason why I think cheat codes fell out of fashion was because of online gaming. And so if you're playing Fortnite or whatever, you're not going to have a cheat code for being able to have 50 million bazookas and blow people up. Apparently you could just buy a bunch of shit. I don't know. I don't really play Fortnite.
I played it for 2 minutes once and I was like, I don't get this.
They're like, you can't use cheat codes. You have to pay us for that privilege.
Yeah, no. I want the old school. Type in, press some buttons and,
Yeah. It was fun for a minute. Yeah.
I didn't know any of that. That's awesome. Thank you. It brought me back to a lot of nostalgia right there.
Yeah.
It was really just with the siblings trying to figure out the cheat codes for things and
it was the worst. You didn't even have fatalities were a whole thing too. That wasn't really a cheat code, but just the fatality codes there's just so much stuff I had to memorize.
Exactly. And now I don't remember my husband's phone number.
Yeah.
I do. He just glared at me. I do, but it's the only one. We used to have to memorize so many more things.
Yeah.
And now my brain can't even remember a number I said 5 minutes ago.
Well, we outsourced everything to the phones and the computers, so they just do that for us now. Is what the thing is. So once the computers aren't around, then we fall apart. It's a great system, guys.
Yeah, it's surely never gonna fail.
Made us reliant on somebody else for us to do basic functions that we used to be able to do ourselves.
And now we have atrophy.
Efficient. Yeah.
And guess what? It's still happening. Everybody, keep writing with your hands and typing with your fingers, or else you're gonna lose the ability.
Yeah. No, you should definitely upload everything that you write and work on into a system that will think for you, because now you've outsourced thinking.
Yep. I'm stubborn, man. I still haven't used AI for anything.
Really?
Yeah. Well, not for this podcast, at least. There have been moments where I've been like,
I just don't even know how to do it.
Me neither. Where do I go? I know OpenAI is a thing, but I hate Sam Altman so much that I would rather die than use that. But so what do I even know what to do? I don't know. I was gonna say, I played The Sims a lot.
Yeah.
In the year 2001 or 2.
In the year 2000.
And it's just this for me. It's just The Sims, and
you use the fatality code. Did you put in the blood code into Sims so you could rip off everyone's heads?
I could kill my Sims, no problem. No, but I would use the Rosebud cheat. It was called the Rosebud cheat. Yeah, and I think it was based on the what's that?
Citizen Kane?
Thank you.
Oh, no way. I didn't even know this.
So you just do you type it in and then you do Rosebud semicolon, colon, semicolon, colon, and for each semicolon you do, it's another $1,000. And so my Sims would be starving. They'd be missing school because they couldn't stop fainting because they hadn't eaten. Like my just absolute.
I was gonna say your own life basically is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, you know what is funny? The funny thing is like I'm not doing good in the game when I play it. I'm still doing bad in the game. Like so, like my sim will sleep in and miss their job and get fired, and then won't have money for food.
Your
and they'll
Sim's
like,
I can't record the podcast. I don't know how to set up the microphone for the 50th time.
This is just not what happened today. I had to use a Barbie brush today. Okay? So yeah, maybe my life is being controlled by a really bad person that's bad at playing games.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I would just cheat money cheat code because it's the only thing that kept my Sims alive. Or else they'd live in a shack and they'd literally pee themselves to death. There was one time when she just peed and peed and peed and would not stop peeing, and then she like got in the pool and died. And then the Grim Reaper came, and I made friends with the Grim Reaper, and he let me live. But then her husband, dude, I had to bring him back with a potion.
I have no idea if you're just making this up. Because I never played. Is this how the game works?
It is the scariest. So it's one of those
games
games
get your character to piss to death, and then the Grim Reaper shows up.
If you piss
and then you befriend it,
and then you accidentally set your. Sorry, if you piss in the kitchen, right? Which happened a lot because I was forcing them to make food for the whole family. If you pissed while you were cooking food, and then you weren't a good cook, and the oven
where's
lit
the
on
game
fire,
ending and Hannah's life starting? I don't know.
Look, I've never pissed in the kitchen. All right, that's not
Only
something
shat.
I've done.
Yeah.
Only shat. That's kitchen is for shitting. Okay, that's what my grandma always said that.
You should get like one of those live, laugh, love signs that like are from Home Goods, but just say kitchen is for shitting. It's wide open. Kitchen's for shitting.
But if there was water on the kitchen floor and it was pee, it would like light your house on fire.
This game sounds awesome.
How have you? This shaped me as a person. It like there was a moment though, like you'll be playing, you'll like be 8 hours into it, and you're like, "Am I a eugenicist?" Like there's like a moment in every young girl's life when she comes face to face with eugenics, and it's through The Sims. And you have to do a big, long, hard think about it because you're starting to pick people out of the neighborhood to make better kids with. Anyway.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
No, I never played Sims.
That is shocking.
The only one I ever played was Sim Ant. That was the game I liked as a kid.
Sim Ant's great, but
I loved Sim Ant.
Making someone piss themselves to death in a room with no doors is pretty exhilarating.
That's certainly a game.
So we're just going down memory lane. One time there was that cheat code where you could, where if one of your Sims was one of your Sims was swimming in the pool, you could have a cheat code where you take the ladder out and they just swim till they die.
What the shit, dude?
Every girl in your life was doing this. Just letting you know.
Okay, all right.
Maybe that's what I should talk about on Courageous Podcast, huh?
Yeah. Shit pissing to death in The Sims.
But my last time I played The Sims, one more Sim story, I made the ugliest people possible, and I tried to see how many generations it would take for them to look normal again.
Did it happen?
Yeah.
They just look like British monarchs is all that happened.
Speaking of British monarchs, let's get into my tab. Okay? How about that? How's that for a transition?
That's a good transition. Wow.
Thank you. Speaking of chinless British monarchs, which is one of my favorite things, as you know, to talk about. Before I get into that, I'm going to ask you one very important question. Okay?
Yes.
Where were you, Kabe C. Taharian, at 3 a.m. on May 6th, 2023?
May 6th, 2023?
Yes.
I have literally no idea. It would have been before my 40th birthday, I guess, like a couple weeks before. At 3 a.m.?
3 a.m.
I don't know. What are you, the FBI? You know where I was?
I'll tell you where you were.
I was asleep.
You were sitting on your couch watching Charles, the Prince of Wales, be crowned the King of England.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And as he, slapped that ass onto that chair. You probably noticed it was your favorite part.
Juicy bottom.
You're like, I can't wait for this guy to become king. I love him. And you probably noticed something about the chair. I'm assuming because you didn't want to miss anything. I didn't miss a single moment of it.
I definitely knew that he was king now too. I remembered that.
Yeah, exactly. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Well, that old man sat on that chair, and if you looked closely, which I know you did, I know you love the royals. underneath,
and I love their asses. I love Charles's ass specific, just rotund, just beautiful.
I know that you always try to get the upskirt shots of Charles, King of England. Charles the Third upskirt. Okay.
.com,
geocities.com/Charles/Charles/that-ass.html. If we still named episodes, we'd want to name this
the entire web address. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're looking at Charles and you're thinking, whoa, wow, what a wonderful guy. I love monarchies. And you see something on the chair that he's sitting on, the big wooden chair that they're putting the crown on him. He's just sitting on this chair.
It's a whoopee cushion.
It's, if only. No, that dude can fart on his own. I'm sorry, Charles. I don't care. So underneath the wooden part of his throne, in a little wooden cubby, there's a giant rock.
Okay.
And it just sits there and hangs out. And why, do you ask, is your favorite monarch sitting on top of some random rock? And
it's
why
probably
does it have
stolen
its own...
from another country, I assume.
We'll get there. And why does it have its own cute little cubby where it lives?
Oh.
As we know, Celts loved rocks. The Celts just loved rocks. They made
I didn't
circles.
know this. This is the first time hearing about it.
Yeah,
Admittedly, I don't know much about the Celts.
They just made a lot of circles out of rocks. They carved them. They stacked them up. Lots of rocks. And this particular slab of sandstone rock that sits underneath in a little cubby on this coronation chair is known as the Stone of Scone. AKA,
the Stone of Scone?
Yes.
Okay.
The Stone of Destiny. And since the early Middle Ages, this stone had been used by Scottish kings during their coronations, right?
Oh, okay.
Serving as this ancient symbol of Scotland's national identity. And there are a bunch of
cosplaying as the Scots, essentially, is what they're doing?
Yes!
Idiots.
So, look, you'll have plenty of opportunities to say that. So since the early Middle Ages, like the 400s, 500s, this has been used by Scottish kings. And there's a bunch of origins for it. One of the origins being from the Bible, like Jacob from the Bible. This was his pillow, where he had a bunch of trippy dreams about going to heaven and climbing a ladder or something. I should know
bro.
this.
Try not using a rock to sleep on.
Maybe use an actual pillow. Maybe you won't have psychotic dreams. Right. Or a piece of cloth. Anything.
Dirt?
Anyway.
Yeah, anything. Yeah.
The Stone of Destiny in Christian lore is known as Jacob's pillow, where he saw a bunch of visions. And so there's that. I mean, most likely that thing did not come from Jerusalem or wherever.
Okay.
But people back in the day when Scotland was being Christianized, they were like, look, we got to have any link to Christianity that we can. And so they start kind of adopting all these stories. After this guy died, they came over here and started ruling Scotland just to give it some credence,
Yeah.
There's also this story that retconning it fully. There's a story that they got the big stone from Ireland, and that it was once the Irish kings who would sit on that stone, and if the right king sat on it, the stone would scream. Just scream and scream.
The screaming stone?
Screaming magic stone. Yeah. Where it's this is good. I like this king. And then if
I like that it screams when the correct one sits on it, not when the wrong one sits on it.
Exactly.
You're oh no, that's a good scream, you guys. It's great.
No, this means he's king.
Yeah.
So it would scream when the right king sat on it, which horrible. Just imagine. What if your chair screamed whenever you sat in it?
When I sat in it correctly, yeah.
Yeah. But if you didn't, it was silent. Silence would be so much scarier.
I think my chair is giving me the silent treatment. It's mad at me right now.
Yeah. Please scream, chair. Please scream.
Please scream. Jeb Bush every time he sits down. Please
Some Scottish king, please scream. Please scream. I need you to make me king. So the Screaming Stone, probably not that stone. It was a different stone that kind of got combined with this story. Here's the thing. Scientists did find that it was quarried from a local quarry, a sandstone quarry near the city of Scone, Scotland, which Scone was Scotland's old capital before Edinburgh. So you're probably wondering, why is Scotland's throne literally part of England's throne? Surely England wouldn't have stolen that, would they have? No, it's not in their nature.
No.
No, they definitely stole it. It's hardcore. So so annoying. Of course. So some history really quick. I'm going to try to do my best to make this fun because I know you probably want to, blow your brains out right now.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about your favorite people.
The British. Yeah. Colonial
Don't worry,
British.
No, this is 1200. So do you remember the episode I did of the heist in Westminster Abbey?
Yeah.
And Edward Longshanks was the king.
Right.
And he was
That's what I was thinking,
like,
actually, when you were saying this. I'm like, wasn't that when he was on his escapades?
Oh, yeah. And this is when the stone gets stolen. So Edward the First, Edward Longshanks, Eddie Longlegs.
Eddie Longs went to fight Australian Mel Gibson in Scotland.
Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. I said famously he would go up and kill Australian actor Mel Gibson. That was a turning point in my life when I realized he was not American. Go watch that episode. Click the link.
I think he was. I think I remember. I made a correction. I think he was born in the States, but then grew up a big portion of his life in Australia.
Fully Australian.
I think he's got like dual citizenship, but I think he's born here. This is not important, actually.
Cannot believe I'm back at this part. Well, I have to find out. Is Mel Gibson Australian? I already had that revelation. Oh, he's so scary. Oh, he's 70? Holy cow.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I didn't realize he was that old.
Oh, you're right. He was born in New York and then...
Yeah.
He has Irish citizenship.
This man is a series of contradictions.
I'm very confused. Well, Edward the First. I want to call him Eddie Longlegs. No, Eddie Longlegs. Edward Longshanks, the Hammer of the Scots. He was always like wrecking everybody's fun and wanted to,
That dude sucked.
He sucked. He was the one who built all those castles around Wales to keep them in check, and then like.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
problem with Scotland is that it's filled with Scots.
That's the line I've never seen the movie.
Yeah, it's from Braveheart. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Who is this person that speaks to me?
I need to watch it, I guess.
I can't remember who the actor is, but he's great in it. He's a total piece of shit.
Really?
He does a real good job of just being the guy that you're like, I want you to die.
Who plays Edward?
Problem with Scotland is that it's filled with Scots.
Patrick Magoon? That's a crazy name. Oh yeah, he looks like a doofus. Oh yeah.
It's great.
That's a great Edward. Wow, I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry I derailed you.
It's whatever. I don't care about anything.
So
the year is 1296, right?
Okay.
And if you remember from the Richard of Pudleycott episode where he steals all of Edward's like treasures from from Westminster
Abbey. With the monks,
Abbey.
Right? All the drunk monks and him going and steal all that shit. Right.
That was a fun episode.
It was.
That happened in 1303. So this is before that. And he's up on the border of Scotland. And he got super pissed at Scotland because he had helped. So earlier, Scotland's king had died with one heir, and it was a little girl that lived in Norway because she was part Norwegian. Anyway, this chick dies, sadly. The only heir to Scotland
dies. The heir
dies
does as well.
Yeah. Okay. The 7-year-old girl, Margaret.
Oh,
she dies on her way back to Scotland. And so it like shook Scotland. They're like, oh no, what do we do?
What do we do?
They were going to marry her off to one of Edward's son, so he could like have a link to Scotland. And he was like, oh, I'll help you find a new king. And he like was really good at law, and so he helped the Scots pick a new king, which feels really sketchy. Like, don't let the he
was good at laws that he created, probably.
Right. Well, no, they asked him. They were like, "Will you like moderate?"
I'm
There's
sure
like 13 of us.
I'm sure they asked him because they wanted him to do it.
Yeah, because they were scared.
Not because of fear of recourse, right?
Well, at that point, Scotland hadn't been conquered by.
Oh, it had not. Okay.
No, the Romans never made it up there. The English had never really gotten past that.
So they didn't quite know yet that this guy was a total piece of shit.
They didn't quite know what he had his eye on, which was conquering. Well, they could tell he had already conquered Wales, so they could kind of see the writing on the wall. But I don't think they thought. I think they thought they could handle it diplomatically.
I was gonna say also, I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily count that as a reason that they would not know, because so many people would just be like, happened to that guy because that guy is dumb, but not me. I'm a genius. I'm smart.
We're the Scots. We're not the Welsh.
Yeah, the arrogance of literally everybody throughout the entire history of the world being like, yeah, that happened. You did it to yourself. I'm smarter than you. Yeah. So he comes in. He's real good at law. So he's trying to pick up a new heir.
He's good at law. And,
or there's no heir left.
There's no heir, and there's like 13 like claimants to the throne. And he helps this one kind of like guy. I don't really know much about him, John Balliol, and he was like a distant cousin. Anyway, he becomes John Bowles. Man, that guy could. really unload in the Gwen
He was
Stefani
really
tribute
useful
toilet.
in The Sims. You should have seen that guy's kitchen. Yeah.
No, not in the kitchen.
The kitchen's for shitting. Come on.
The kitchen is for shitting. My new slogan. So that's my new sign off.
That was Longshanks' sign off. The kitchen is for shitting.
Before he charges on Scotland, just screams that. The kitchen.
Yeah, you got William Wallace being like, they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom on one end, and on the other end, Longshanks is like, the kitchen is for shit. And then he leads the charge.
They're like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
So anyway, they pick a new king, and Edward's like, dope, I helped pick that guy, so they probably owe me, right?
Yeah.
No, Scotland was like, what? No. We're France's friend. And France, as we all know, England's on again, off again frenemy for the last 1,000 years.
Yep.
At that point, it was off again. They did not like the French. I know. And so Scotland and France, that was the beginning of their very long, friendship. They ended up helping each other in all their wars, married each other off to each other's kings or whatever. And this pissed Edward off. And he was like, I want Scotland. And so he, of course, decides, what does Edward do best? Just conquers. So 1296, he's at the border, and he invades Scotland. And the Battle of Dunbar happens, and he wins, and sets off what is known as the First War of Scottish Independence, eventually leading to Eddie Longlegs killing none other than the Australian actor Mel Gibson. Yeah. During this invasion, Edward and his troops were like, you know what would be really sick? If we stole their national symbol, which is their throne. And it's just over there in that abbey in Scone. And they're like, yeah, let's take it. Let's take their crown and rock, or whatever they wanted to call it. I don't know. Make it our special rock. And so everyone knows that I will now run Scotland. I run this place. And so they take the stone from the Abbey of Scone as a spoil of war and take it back to Westminster Abbey in London. And as a symbol, he's like, okay, they're not going to sit on it anymore. I am. And he's obsessed with this stone, right? He loves spoils of war because he's a total dweeb. And when he's back in London for one of the few seconds he spends there during his reign, he commissions a fancy wooden chair to be constructed for the stone. Because in Scotland, it had been sitting on top of other stones to make it look kind of like a little bench, like a tiny baby Stonehenge. Which kind of reminds me of Spinal Tap. Have you seen Spinal Tap?
Yeah.
Yeah. The little people of Stonehenge, a tiny minuscule model of Stonehenge. But it looks kind of like that, but he just took the top of it. And so he's like, I'm going to make a really fancy chair for this stone that I just stole. And he commissions this dude, Walter, which that's all we know about him.
Walt.
His name was Walter.
His name was just Walter.
Walt.
That's that guy Walt who lives down the street.
He can make a good chair. Get Walt in here to make my special new stone.
We all know a Walter in our homes or in our friend circles. Just a guy. Yeah. I can think of two people. I got two Walters in my life that I know. Just be like, that's the guy that you can go to who needs a chair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my dad is a Walter.
Yeah.
If I need a chair, my dad will make me a chair.
Yeah.
Anyway, Walter was a really good carpenter or whatever, and Edward's like, I need a new fancy house for this new stone I stole. And speaking of, Scotland's just pissed. They're so annoyed. I mean, more than annoyed. And he makes this fancy wooden chair filled with inlays of glass and jewels, and you can still see this chair, by the way. They still sit in it. It's an 800-year-old chair. This is the coronation chair.
It's the one that's in whatchamacallit, the King's Speech.
Yep, so that's the chair. Here, I'm going to send you a picture of what the chair looks like.
I was going to look it up, but if you could send it to me, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
The coronation chair.
So as you can see where the stone is sitting in it. So it's
yes.
They built it around the stone. Here's the picture of the stone, and it was out. This is Charles' coronation before they put the stone in. It's just a stone.
Like a straight up brick. Yeah.
It's just a big old rock. Yeah, but here's the thing: it had a little cage. You couldn't really get it. They built wood around it, so you couldn't get into the stone. Here it is.
It was a cage because it was a wild piece of stone. They didn't want it to get out.
They had to keep it.
It's like your husband in the corner.
Yeah, I think he went to sleep.
The stone of destiny.
Yeah. So, fancy stone is put in this wooden chair, and
graffiti blamed on choir boys is what this picture.
Oh yeah, by the way, the throne of England is covered in graffiti.
That's really funny.
Yeah, choir boys would just go carve their name in it. Hilarious. So disrespectful.
Hopefully
I love
there's
it.
a bunch of dicks everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Dude, I told you I found like dick drawings on a castle in Wales.
Yes.
Like from the 1850s. Like, yeah, we're the same.
Like Pompeian. Yeah.
Yeah. Fast forward 100 years, and this stone has just been chilling in this chair. And Scotland and England signed like a treaty. And Scotland's like, part of the treaty is you're going to give us our stone back. And not Edward, he's long dead. And England was like, sure, whatever, wink, wink, we'll give it back. And of course, they proceeded to not give it back. And tensions between the countries were so tense from then all through the medieval years. And we're literally coming to a literal head when Elizabeth I imprisoned and beheaded her cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots. And Scotland was like, come on, man, our queen? You just killed her. And
not cool.
Not cool. And that like set off a whole thing, and the tensions were soon smoothed over because Elizabeth died without having kids. And her beheaded cousin Mary, what did you say? Head slice? What did you say earlier?
The greatest thing since sliced head.
Yeah. The greatest thing since sliced head.
That would have been the
Mary's
episode
head.
title as well. Would have been
Yep.
greatest thing since sliced head, because it happens in both.
And I know, look, stay with me, okay? So
yeah, I'm here.
Elizabeth died without an heir, and her beheaded cousin Mary's son, James I of Scotland, became James I of England. And it was the first time a Scottish king sat on the English throne.
Famously had a head, unlike his mother.
Famously gave that. He had a husband. Did you know that? Dude.
I don't know anything about these people.
James was openly gay. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, he also was the guy who did the King James Bible.
Oh, okay. And, I don't think I knew that.
He had a guy he called his husband, and he would like threaten anyone who would be like, "Hey, it's not your husband." He'd be like, "Yes, it is. Shut up, I'll kill you." And he was like gay by like he was like openly gay by threat. Like he would threaten anyone who would try to he did not hide it.
Good.
He managed to have some kids, but this guy was interesting. The very first Scottish king to sit on that stone since it had left Scotland. And so the tensions eased. They're like, oh, we got a Scottish king on it. Maybe this is going to be good. And it kind of like united the two countries. But then James's granddaughter, Queen Anne, went ahead and just united them officially by the Acts of Union, which brought Ireland into it too. And it became what we know as the United Kingdom.
United Kingdom.
Yeah. And that stone, the throne of Scottish kings, sat in that little bespoke wooden prison, playing host to the butts of kings, queens, choir boys that paid extra money to sit on it because they wanted to be, that happened all the time. You could like pay like the Westminster Abbey people to have like a turn on the throne.
Take a ride. Just make sure nobody sees you.
I'm pretty sure
Ghislaine Maxwell was on it.
I think she was. I think she did. Was that the throne that she sat on? I can't remember.
I have no idea.
There's a picture of her sitting on the throne of England because pedophile Prince Andrew let her in. Anyway, wonderful institution.
The world's great. Things are going great.
Ancient monarchies existing still. It's fine. It even, you remember Oliver Cromwell? Everyone's hated person. He sat on it. He was like, screw kings, but I'm going to sit on this stone to make sure everyone knows that. So he just laid his little bum on it.
His little hiney.
His little hiney. So it was used in coronations for 650 years until Christmas Day of 1950, when one of the night guards was walking around Westminster Abbey, and he noticed that not only was the coronation chair broken open, but that the stone was gone.
Oh, somebody just sat on it and it broke. That happens
broke
so many
to
times.
1,000 pieces. No,
one part of the chair. Was it the one part of the chair broke, like the one leg? What's it called? The pwomp? The bomb pwomp from Mario? What the hell is it called?
Oh, the
babomp? The
babomp? I know what you're talking about, but I don't.
The babomp was king, and then when he did that, he broke the rock. I don't know why. It's the babwomp.
I remember that part in Mario. It was my favorite part.
Don't correct me, by the way. It's a babwomp now in my head.
I'm not gonna. And if
no, not you. I'm talking about people who are talking about to the tens of listeners.
All 10 of you, shut up.
Babwomp. Babwomp, Dad. Once the babwomp was crowned king in 1950 on Christmas Day, thus ended the rock.
Man, they got to the next level, though.
That's true. Yeah.
Thank
Thankfully.
goodness.
Good for her.
So, it's a her. Oh my gosh. It's so forward. And it's with the story of the heist of the Stone of Destiny that I'll pick back up next week.
The heist. You're holding out on me, huh? You're cock bwomping me from.
I'm rock bwomping you. All right.
Rock bwomping us.
Yeah, I was like gonna try to shove it all into one, but this story is too.
Listen,
too good.
This story is not your suitcase that you packed when you go to a convention out of town. You can't just cram everything into one bag poorly,
and then inevitably
and then forget all your underwear and all this other stuff.
I would never forget my one pair of underwear. I'm not like you. I don't bring pants shitting underwear wherever I go.
Listen, that's I'm sorry for you that you don't have pants shitting underwear everywhere you go.
It's fine. Look, I don't. Remember, the kitchen is for pissing, or the kitchen's
for pissing,
not the
or
underwear.
kitchen's for shitting. Right. The kitchen's for shitting.
But the cool thing about this heist is that it is the beginning of the fight for Scottish independence again, because they had kind of like petered off, but this ignited an entirely new generation of Scottish nationalists.
Listen,
so
don't underestimate the Scots' anger at the King Bobwomp.
Queen Bobwomp.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Queen Bobwomp and their desire to destroy ancient rocks.
Queen Bobwomp the First, man. Her reign was nuts.
Awful. Awesome. Thank you for that tab. Yeah. That was really great. I'm really excited to hear. We love a good heist story here.
Oh, always. And we love a good heist story stealing from England because you know what? It's their turn.
That's my dream.
to get robbed.
If any heist stories about England, love it. I'm into it.
Yep.
Anything you can steal, I'm into it.
Anyway.
But awesome. Thank you.
Close
yes, this comes to the part of the show where we need to close our tabs.
All right.
Which I guess now we have to do a babwomp breaking a rock.
Duh. Alyssa, is that possible?
Yeah.
She's like typing in babwomp.
Babwomp. I mean, it is video game themed today anyway.
It's
so,
true. It works for both.
The babwomp.
Let's do the babwomp noise, crushing our tabs. Some of mine. Yeah. Okay, ready?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Babwomp.
We could just edit that in.
Yes, let's do just me screaming babwomp, onomatopoeia. Babwomp. Anyway, moving on to listener emails. I think I'll be up first.
You're up. Yep.
Email number 1 is from Cassie from someplace far away. I don't know where Cassie's
Interesting.
from, but exactly
fine.
Where they're from.
That's fine.
Hey, folks. Long-time listener, first-time writer. I found this news article and immediately thought of Hannah in the show.
Oh.
The article from September 2024 details an Irish farmer, Michael Boyle, who smelled a cheesy smell while doing work on his farm, leading him to unearth a 60-pound slab of bog butter, one of the largest of its kind.
Whoa, now, 60-pound.
Yeah. What the hell is bog butter, you might ask? I had the same question, which sent me down a rabbit hole of tabs, or as we like to call it on this show, tabbit hole.
Tabbit hole, yeah.
From what I've gathered, people in olden times in Scotland and the Ireland regions used to make butter by throwing their churned and shaken dairy into a wooden container and then throwing that container into a peat bog for preservation. Peat bogs were particularly cold and low in oxygen, making them nature's perfect fridge. It also helped to hide the valuable butter from thieves. Butter thieves!
Butter heist.
The butter heist of the peat bog of 1217.
80, yeah.
Yeah. According to the news article, Boyle's slab of bog butter is still good and indeed tastes like butter.
Boyle's slab of bog butter is a great title.
That would be a great, you know what we should do is we should make that as like a title and then like make a shirt of it or something. That'd be really
Boyle's
fun.
slab of bog butter.
Like make a fake butter label.
Yeah.
Anyways, thought y'all would be tickled pink by this tab, which we were. Love the show.
Yeah.
I've learned many new things and am now a ride or die Nikola Horse Daddy Jokic fan. Thanks to y'all. Much love, Cassie. Thank you, Cassie.
I love that we've brought so many people. You've brought so many people into the Nikola Jokic fandom.
Yeah, baby. He's killing it this season too. MVP, everything.
Is he? Oh yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah.
This is from Casey from Colorado, and funnily enough, it's also about Scotland and Ireland. And
so we got a Cassie and a Casey.
Yes, Cassie and Casey.
So email, as I'm saying, just to delineate. Keep it Casey. Email number 2, yeah.
Email number 2 is from Casey from Colorado. Dear Kaveh and Hannah, I hope all is well as can be with the both of you. I can't get too much into it. She's by the way, Casey's in the Discord, so she knows our daily gripes and issues.
Join the Discord where you get to hear such great things as us complaining and the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet.
Yeah, or you can vote on which train you want to touch tips with. Although that did end. And it was a tie. So, lots of people... Okay, I can't get too much into it because it could be a whole 2-hour episode on its own. But basically, lots of people celebrate a holiday around the first few days of February, as it's halfway between the start of winter and the start of spring. You have things like Candlemas, Imbolc, Badger Day, etc., which were all traditions brought to North America as the area was colonized. The Celtic, Scottish, Irish, and Manx tradition of Imbolc, I'm going to correct, it's not Celtic, that's just Gaelic, because Celtic is, anyway, Wales too, but that's different than Gaelic, doesn't matter. The Gaelic, Scottish, Irish, and Manx tradition of Imbolc has a story of the Cailleach, or the Winter Witch, who would go out around this time of year to gather firewood for the rest of winter. If the winter was going to be a long one, she would make the weather nice, so that she would be able to gather a lot of firewood. If the winter was to be shorter, the weather wouldn't need to be so nice because she wouldn't need as much wood to warm her through the winter. Also, there are stories of her sleeping through Imbolc, which causes the shorter winter. Well, now the state of Pennsylvania was home to the people called the Lenape, also called the Delaware, who venerated the Groundhog through a story of Wojak the Groundhog. He was considered by the Delaware Indians to be an ancestral grandfather, having begun life as an animal and becoming a man. These stories get mixed around, and with a contribution from the Germans with Badger Day, therefore conflating badgers and groundhogs, you have the story of the groundhog coming out of his den to try to see his shadow. But that's why, if the groundhog sees his shadow, it will be a longer winter. It gets mixed in with the idea that the Cailleach is out gathering wood and manipulating the weather.
Oh, interesting.
Here's to a good turning of the year and best wishes, Casey. That was interesting.
That was interesting. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Because if you think about Groundhog Day, it doesn't really make sense at all.
I don't ever think about Groundhog Day, but
yeah,
I do know about it, and that's an interesting thing. I like that.
Oh, thank you for listening, everybody. If you want to write in, you can email us at 500opentabs 500@gmail.
And if you want to submit a listener email as a voice memo, just keep them around 90 seconds if you can, and send them to the email. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what your tab is that you learned about, and your name and the link, of course. Furthermore, as we said at the top of the show, we're going to be in Seattle next week for Emerald City Comic Con. If you're around, please come visit us. Otherwise, you can stay in touch with us and know what we're up to in the Discord, as we mentioned, and also all of our socials. Yeah, YouTube. And subscribe to Patreon, YouTube. Also, we're 500 Open Tabs on Instagram and on the other one, Blue Sky.
Yes, and tell your friends, please. If this episode reminded you of anybody, send that to them. Send it to them.
Yeah, just if you thought about stealing something from like a really famous abbey of some sort, tell your crew.
To the group.
Yeah, send it to the group chat. Find a group chat that you like. Email or message them. Email them. I don't put it in a letter. Them. Yeah, fax them just this episode.
Scream like the Throne of Scotland. Yeah. Just scream at them.
Yeah.
And please subscribe on YouTube and all the places. It helps us a lot.
Yeah. And I'm at PermaFriends on Instagram for any more updates about stuff, as well as the stuff that I will have in Seattle.
And I'm at Hannah Hill. I'm on everything. And I'll also have a book signing in Seattle on the 10th of March. I'll put info
the Monday,
on that.
Right?
Yeah, I'll put info on that on my stuff.
It'll be everywhere. Discord. It'll be on the Instagram. It'll be on everywhere that we can post about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you, Hannah, for another lovely tab. Thank you to Alyssa. In the meantime, I'll see you at the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet. Puree, shitting, pissing, jizzing in a corner of the Abbey with the New York cop. I don't know.
I'll see you drowning in a pool with no ladder. How's that?
Perfect.
All right, bye, everybody.